Colin Powell said there are no secrets to success. It is a result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Hello, my name is April Colley. The purpose of my speech today is to inform the audience about the life of Colin Powell and to analyze his famous speech, Weapons of Mass Destruction, that was delivered to the United Nations on Iraq's weapons of mass destruction on February 5, 2003. In his speech, he made a case for the Iraq War by presenting United States intelligence that proved that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Each of us should care about this because if Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, they could use them against the United States of America. I have knowledge of this subject through research. Today I will provide a brief biography of Colin Powell's life, analyze one of his most famous speeches, and highlight the impacts of that speech on society. Colin Luther Powell was born on April 5, 1937, in New York, New York. He attended the City College of New York, where he earned his B.S. in geology in 1958. He married Alma Vivian Johnson of Birmingham, Alabama, on August 23, 1962, at the First Congregational Church in Birmingham, Alabama. The couple have 3 children together. Michael Kevin Powell, born in 1963 in Birmingham, Alabama. He is the current president of the lobbyist trade group National Cable and Telecommunications Association. Linda Margaret Powell was born in 1965 in Birmingham, Alabama. She is an actress. And Anne-Marie Powell was born in 1970. She is a television producer. Colin Powell served as the U.S. General of the United States Army from 1970 to 1983. He was nominated by then-President George Bush Sr. in 1989 to become Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now that I've provided a brief summary of the person's life, let's talk about one of his most famous speeches. The title of his famous speech is Colin Powell's UN Presentation on Weapons of Mass Destruction, Part 1. It took place on February 3, 2003 at the United Nations Security Council in Washington, D.C. Its purpose was to inform the United Nations Security Council about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. The speaker's nonverbal delivery that he used was raised voice in his pitch and tone of voice. He also used strong and stern language to speak about the subject of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. The speaker's nonverbal clues that he used were eye contact and hand gestures such as pounding on the podium to show that he disliked the fact that Saddam Hussein had made no efforts to disarm as required by the international community. Saddam Hussein and his regime were concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Now that I've provided a brief overview of one of his most famous speeches, let's talk about the impact or the effects of that speech on society. Impact number 1. All of Colin Powell's accusations turned out to be false. It caused the U.S. to attack Iraq. The U.S. inspectors of the CIA didn't find any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. It all turned out to be false allegations. Impact number 2. On March 19, 2003, coalition forces attacked Iraq in our Operation Iraqi Freedom. The 2003 invasion of Iraq resulted in the arrest of Saddam Hussein and the removal of his regime from power in Iraq. Colin Powell was asked to resign from his post as Secretary of State by then President George W. Bush on Wednesday, November 10, 2004. He resigned his post on Monday, November 15, 2004. The speaker didn't receive any rewards for his speech. In fact, the opposite happened. Colin Powell was asked to resign his post as Secretary General of the United States of America. The purpose of my speech today was to inform you about Colin Powell and his weapons of mass destruction speech on February 5, 2003. Today I provided a brief biography of Colin Powell's life, analyzed one of his most famous speeches, and told you about the impacts of that famous weapons of mass destruction speech on society. Very few generals have come from the ROTC. Colin Powell was the first chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to ever come out of the Army Reserve Officers Training Corps. He was appointed by President George Bush on October 1, 1989, and served until September 30, 1993, as the 12th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.